Okay, so let's talk about so we've been hosting group coaching programs for over 6 years. And I feel like there are ways as leaders that we've learned how to set things up to be more effective. But how, as participants in a group coaching program, how can they have a better experience? And I want to talk about best practices for you as someone who's going through a group coaching program. How do you make the most of it? Because here's what I hear constantly is I don't feel like I'm going to get enough individualized attention. I don't feel like I'm going to get my questions answered. I feel like I'm going to be lost. So the thing that I see also is like, as soon as someone's like, okay, I can maybe be a part of a group coaching program, but how many people are there? I only want to be there if there's like 3 of us or 7 of us or like a really intimate group. And there are definitely value in intimate focused spaces. And I absolutely understand the hesitation of being like one face in the sea of many, because it can feel like you're not going to be heard. And I also know that like sometimes it can be uncomfortable to speak up and ask questions and be vulnerable and share. So I think I want to answer this in 2 parts. The first, let's talk about best practices before you even invest in the group coaching program. What do you need to be looking out for? What questions do you need to be asking? And then once you find yourself inside one, how do you stand out? So we've talked about this before, but I'd love to hear from you. What are the things that people need to be looking out for before they even decide to spend money on a group coaching program?
Yes. So when you're looking for a group coaching program, I think it's critical that you look at how the business is operating. I don't believe that the group coaching program has to be in the same industry. Like, if you're a service provider, it doesn't mean you have to learn from other service providers. In fact, they're so distracted doing their service, you may get far less attention than if you went to someone who was operating in a different business model. So I think it's more business model agnostic,
Mm-hmm.
and more about, do you like, from what you can see, and it's hard to tell sometimes, but do you believe in the way they're running their business? Do you align with their morals and values? Are you, when you look at them showcasing aspects of their life, does that feel in alignment with the kind of life and lifestyle you're after? And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be perfect by any means. They don't need to be your role model. In fact, I don't want you idolizing any leader
No.
that you come into the room with. Um, but I do think it's important that, like, if you're um an introvert who likes to
Mm-hmm.
stay at home and you'd love to just like reno your house, and you're happy at X stage and blah blah blah, then it doesn't make sense for you to work with someone who's on a freaking private jet half the time and
Mm-hmm.
absent and like
Mm-hmm.
has 17 houses, because
Mm-hmm.
you do not relate to who they are as a person,
Right.
and that's okay.
Well, and I think in the same vein, you can also get a vibe on how do you think they go about like making money and doing business, right? In the same
Yeah.
examples, if you're that same introvert and you're learning from someone who makes their money by saying yes to as many speaking gigs as possible and traveling the world and getting in front of audiences, if that's not how you want to grow your business, don't learn from someone who teaches that.
Right. And so I think it's important that you find some alignment and some middle ground, and that you really ultimately align with the person, not to the point that you put them on a pedestal, because we've
No.
we've watched what
Mhm.
happens when you do that.
Yep.
I do not want you idolizing anyone, but I do think there should be some aspects of the way they're doing business that you should find inspirational
Yep.
or aspirational. But I also don't want you feeling like you need to look 75 steps ahead. Like, if if you have a team of 5 and they have a team of 10, like, that could
Right.
be
Right.
just far enough ahead for you to really garner, because they're not
Yes.
going to be so far removed from what it's like to do business in the way you're doing business, that
Right.
they're going to be able to understand the things you're going through. And so I think there has to be some alignment there.
I also think it's
Now,
absolutely fair to really dig into how can you get questions answered in the group, because we
yeah,
like we have said 10,000 times there's no one size fits all, and we like are all over the whole just plug in this formula and you're going to get the exact same
No.
results as I did. Like, we all know that doesn't work. Okay. However, there is still a basis, and Abby and I have talked about this internally all the time. The stuff that we work our clients through, I could name you 30 different industries, 30 different price points, 30 different goals, but the framework that we've created and the steps that we know they need to implement apply to every single one of them. But how those steps are applied, when they're applied, what they look like is different for every single one of them. So part of this is,
Mhm.
yeah, you could flat out ask the question, but part of it's also kind of just the vibe of the human being, right? In the sense of like, yes, is this group, and am I going to get feedback like for my unique situation? With the caveat being, there's not that many unique situations. Like, there are
Right.
still very themed buckets within like our 30 different industries and 30 different price points and whatever. Like, we could do buckets of high price point, one time clients, one and done, high price point retainers, low price point, quick and dirty, VIP day kind of clients. Like, there's still buckets that we could put our people into, but I really want
Yeah.
you to have a knowledge beforehand of, am I going to be completely left alone to go through this? Because I do think that there's aspects, and you guys have probably heard this term before, of like the hybrid kind of coaching model where it's like curriculum plus coaching. And to me, that's kind of like that sweet money spot of it, like in digest and then implement and then feedback, and digest, implement, feedback, and that going through that kind of loop throughout the program.